Hello guys, let's talk about today's topic. This is a protein sorting to the different cell organelle. Today we'll be focusing on the endoplasmic reticulum. There are the two pathways. One, the protein once being synthesized into the cytosol, then it goes to the different cell organelle. Another pathway is the co-translational pathway, where the protein will immediately enter the shortest stretch of the protein or amino acids which are being synthesized. They will enter into the endoplasmic reticulum. Here onwards, the protein will go to the different places. For example, ER, it might go to the Golgi apparatus. From Golgi, it can go to the lysosomes, or it can go to the plasma membrane, or it could be secreted out. So this is our today's topic. Let's talk about exactly how this is going to happen. As you know, the slide says it is the same basic mechanism that is going to be followed. So the few questions that is required, one is the signal sequences, the sequences which gives the address where exactly these proteins are going to be entering into. Second thing, it requires a receptor on the cell organelle it is going to enter into. It could be either through a gate, as you have seen in the case of nucleus, or it may have the translocational channel, which is a transmembrane protein through which it will enter. And the lastly, it requires the source of energy, which could be ATP or it could be the GTP. GTP is more common in the cell biology or the cellular pathways. Now, signal sequences, it has the two fate in the end. One, it is going to be the part of the protein itself, or it is going to be removed by the specific proteases. Now, the receptor protein, the set of proteins which is going to be perceiving the signal which is present on the protein entering into a cell organelle. Today, specifically, we'll talk about the ER and whether it is going to be carried further, maybe the part of the integrated structure of a protein, or it is going to be cleaved off. Translocational channel, as I told you, this is a protein present on the plasma membrane or the membrane of the cell organelle through which a protein can go, which can read easily into the localization signal energy. So energy is very, very important component of it. I told you it could be ATP or it could be GTP. Preferably it is going to be GTP. This is the pathway I was talking about. Will be more, the concern with this pathway which is shown on the left hand side. This is the secretory pathway or the co-translational pathway. Here you can see the messenger RNA and the small sequence is going to be synthesized earlier, which is shown in a different color, and blue is the rest of the protein. It will enter through the translocational channel into the endoplasmic reticulum. To be precise, it is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And from here onwards, it can go to the Golgi apparatus, and from there, it can go to the plasma membrane or the lysosome, or may be secreted out of the cell. Now, there are few paths, the places where it is going to be. If you look at any protein, it has the two terminus, N terminus or the C terminus. So most of the cell organelle will have a signal present on the N terminus, except the peroxisome where it is going to be C terminus. And the other cases, like especially the ER, mitochondria, and the chloroplast, this signal is going to be removed. But in the peroxisome case, it is going to be, the integral part of the protein. So today we'll be focusing more on the endoplasmic reticulum. Here we require the 6 to 12 hydrophobic amino acids, which will be preceded by the more than one basic amino acid, that is arginine and the lysine. This is the one basic phenomenon. How you know this is going to happen? There'll be two ways we can do it. One is the transfectional approach, defining the signal sequences. Look at here, we have the plasmid, which is having our gene of interest, having a signal which could be A or which could be B. So if it is having the signal A, it will go into the A cell organelle. If it is having for the B, it will go into the B. This is the one way. Second way is that biochemical approach. Here what we'll do is that we label a protein and we co-fractionate it. You can see the radio labeled proteins. So once we'll take out, it is going to be, in the specific cell organelle. So once we'll take out, what we'll do is that the signal sequence is removed by the specific proteases that is present inside, incubated with the cell organelle, which is incubated with the organelle, and then we'll, cleave it with the, SDS gel, which is having the proteases. One which is inside the cell organelle without being treated with the detergent will remain intact, and once which is treated with the detergent will be clipped. So these two approaches prove that the signals are required, and this signal, whether it's going to be integral part of the protein or is going to be removed off, both can be inferred from these two experiments shown. Now the quote is co-translational translocation of the secretory proteins across the ER membrane. As I told you in the beginning, they have the 1630 residue, out of which 6 to 12, which is going to form the core region, will be having the hydrophobic amino acid, followed by one or more positively charged amino acid, which is basic in nature. It will direct the ribosomes to ER membrane and initiate the translocation of the growing peptide across the endoplasmic reticulum. Let's see how does it happen. So here the receptor, we call it as, the SRP, signal recognition particle, which is made up of a specific 7SL RNA, which is a very unique kind of RNA, and they have SRP receptors. So this RNA is going to have a match on the RNA which is present on the ribosomes, and this SRP consists of the 6 protein and 300 nucleotide RNA, which is called as 7SL RNA. And the SRP receptor is made up of 2 subunits, alpha and beta. Out of that, alpha is going to be the larger subunit. You can see over here, the SRP, this is a signal recognition particle, had many proteins that I showed you. It is having the 6 protein, and the RNA size is going to be around 300 nucleotide long. So you can see the P54, P19, 68, P72, P9, and P14. And here the RNA, if you can see this RNA looks very similar with the ribosomal RNA. You can see the pseudo knot present in the secondary structure of the RNA. So this will bind directly to the ER signal. And then we have the translocation channel, that is a Sec61 complexes, which is made up of the 3 subunits, alpha, beta, and gamma, and containing the 10 membrane spanning alpha helices. And here the energy which is required for the process is the GTP hydrolysis. Look at this. Once the synthesis occur, you can see the signal sequences and N-terminus. So this is going to be recognized by the SRP. Look at here, SRP is recognizing both ribosomes and the sequences together. Here we have the SRP receptor, which is close by to this translocon channel, which is actually closed. So when the proper binding occurs, so they have the GTP that is being, hydrolyzed over here, that could lead to the opening of the translocation channel. So synthesis starts on the free ribosome first. Around 70th residue which is added without the ER, the synthesis will come to a halt. GTP hydrolysis further, as I told you, opens up this, and it will go inside where it will have the proteases which is going to cleave it up. Those, the enzymes we call the signal peptidases, which can remove it off. So if the protein is correct, GTP hydrolysis will occur and trigger the translocon, that is a Sec61 complex, to open, and the protein will enter into the ER lumen. You can see over here the basic structure which is shown over here. You can see the 40S subunit of the ribosomes and 60S, and you can see the transport shown over here. This is the translocon, and this is, in the range of around 10 nanometer. So the pore size, which is going to be having a diameter of the 2 nanometer, and the other structures is going to be 5 to 6 nanometer into 8.5 nanometer in diameter. By recognizing the C-terminal sequences, signal peptidase cleaves the ER. You can see over here, it will cut this signal on the C-terminus, and then the protein will come, and the protein will get folded into the ER, which is a place with the help of the certain enzymes it is going to be folded properly before it leaves for the Golgi apparatus. Like we know, N-glycosylation is one which is going to happen within the endoplasmic reticulum. So here signal sequences, as I told you, 16 to 30 residue. 6 to 12 is a core enzyme, which is a core amino acids, which is hydrophobic in nature, followed by one or two positively charged amino acids and receptors like the SRP outside and the SRP receptor on the ER membrane, and the one channel through which it will go is the Sec61, and the energy required in the form of GTP hydrolysis. Similarly, some yeast proteins are translocated into the ER by this pathway, and the signal sequence context is the same as the co-translational translocon, but receptors are going to be different, like the Sec63 complex and BIP, and the translocon is going to be Sec61 complex, and here the energy requirement is going to be ATP analysis. You can see over here. So translocating a protein inside this, you can see over here. So as it goes inside, BIP is a protein which will bind, which is a kind of a heat shock protein 70 family. It is going to pull it down. You can see over here by hydrolyzing the ATP. So the protein will be pulled into the ER region. You can see over here. And this will keep the protein in the unfolded form. And once the entire protein enters, then it is going to be folded. Here, there are a few more questions we need to answer. One is that how the integral proteins can interact with the membranes, maybe the few passes, 6 pass, 7 pass, 8 pass, 7, 10 passes protein, and how the topogenic sequences direct means which part will go onto the cytosolic region and which part will go exterior of the cell. How this is going to be determined, especially about the integral proteins and the transmembrane protein or GPI anchored proteins. Let's talk about it. So the topogenic sequences, membrane spanning segment determine a protein's topology, which is around 10 to 25 hydrophobic amino acid, which forms the alpha helix. You can see over here, the first class, type 1, you see this red region. So this red region is going to be there, on the close to the C terminus. So this is the cytosolic part, and this is the ER lumen part. So ER lumen is always exterior to the cell. It is, equivalent to the exterior of the cell. So anything which is towards the lumen will always face, this is towards the outside, and one which is cytosolic part will always be into the interior of the cell. And there are the few proteins like the glycophorines. You can see it is a single pass protein, glycophorines, LDL receptors, influenza HA protein, insulin receptor, and growth hormone receptor, basically. And this is the type 1. Look at over here, the proteins are being synthesized at the C terminus. The signal peptide is going to cut it. It will just keep on moving till it has this hydrophobic stretch of the amino acid. So this will go and bind to the, here the synthesis will stop, it will bind to the membrane, and the rest of the part will be hanging, towards the cytosolic region. Okay. You can see over here, this hydrophagy profile, you go for it. So what we'll see is that, all those parts you can see over here, which is showing the stop and transfer sequences. So this is always in the hydrophobic regions. So number of the hydrophobic regions will tell you the number of the times it is going to span the membrane. This is the type 2. You can see over here, it is just differ from the type 1. Here the C terminus is always going to be inside, means that in the lumen of the endoplasmic reticulum, and the N terminus towards the cytosolic region. Similarly, the type 3 best example is going to be cytochrome 4 P450, which plays a very important role in the detoxification reaction. Here the C terminus is going to be longer and staying, in the cytosolic region. Whereas the type 2 has the many examples. You can see the many transferrin and influenza HN, Golgi, CL transferase and all. Now we have here the proteins being synthesized. So wherever the positively charged amino acid will come, this will make the protein to stay towards the cytosolic region. This is a kind of information that needs to be there. So the number of times it has the positive charge, that means it is going to stay towards the cytosolic part. You can see over here. if it is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 pass protein, the best example is the GPCR. You can see over here the N terminus into the endoplasmic reticular lumen and the C terminus towards the cytosol. So the number of the hydrophobic patches it has, that is going to decide which way the protein is going to be oriented. This orientation for the functioning of the protein is going to be very, very important. The few examples, as a whole, we'll see. Type 1, this part is going to be in the lumen, and this part is going to be onto the membrane, and this part which is going to be on the cytosolic region. Look at over here in the type 2, the positively charged region will decide this part is going to be on the cytosol. Similarly, in type 3, the cytosol will have the longer C terminus, and that will towards the cytosol. So wherever the positively charged amino acids are there, that will decide it will be towards the cytosol, and the stop anchor sequences will always be keeping the protein onto the membrane, or that will make the multipass protein. Similarly, if you see in the type 4b, you can see that this part is going to be in the lumen, unlike the 4a, which is on the cytosolic region. So basic concept remains same. Similarly, some protein we call as a GPI anchored protein, glycosyl phosphatidylinositol. So you can see here, this is the chain. This part is going to be fatty acyl chain is going to be hydrophobic, and the polar part will have the phosphate and other residues like the mannose, or it could be the phosphoethanolamine. This is going to be the polar region. This is the head region. This is going to be tail region. Now, some cell surface proteins are anchored to the phospholipid bilayer by a covalent bond, and these are attached to the amphipathic molecule, that is a GPI. So protein with the GPI anchor can diffuse into the plane of the phospholipid bilayer membrane. On contrary, the many proteins anchored by the membrane spanning alpha helices are immobilized in the membrane. Look at this. So protein, once it gets sit over here, we have the enzymes because the GPI transamidase, it will cut it off, and this part is going to be joined to the preformed GPI anchor. Look at this. So this is going to be now hanging around. So this part is the lumen part, means in the real case it will stay out, and this part is going to be on the cytosolic region. So that's all for the today's lecture. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and many of your concept has been made clear by looking these concepts. So do share and comment, and whatever topic you want in future to be made, just let me know. Thanks a lot.